Couple of announcements before we start. The meeting is of the Opioid Trust. Dispute Resolution Committee has been duly advertised as a public meeting in accordance with the Sunshine Act and is therefore open to members of the public as observers. Participation in this meeting is going to be limited to Washington County. They are the only county that filed any appeals, and there are 4 of them as a beneficiary under the trust order, and its designated representatives, trustees on the DRC, and those trustees that have invited in advance to take part. The meeting is being recorded, and minutes from this meeting will be available on the trust website after they are approved by the DRC. And I would like to say that there was a short executive session that was held immediately prior to this public meeting for purpose of receiving legal updates and legal advice. With that, Shay, could you take a roll call so we make sure we have a quorum?
Sure. Tamar Alexander.
Present.
Commissioner Kevin Boozle.
Present.
Stuart Fisk.
Present.
Shay Madden.
Present.
Commissioner Robert Postal.
Present.
Senator Christine Tartaglione. Chair Tom Van Kirk.
Here. So I believe we have 6 present and a quorum would be 5. So we do have a quorum present, and Washington County is going to be the presenter today. With the people from Washington County that are on the line, please identify yourself. Are they showing us on the screen, Bree?
I don't see at least the representatives who are present at the last Dispute Resolution Committee meeting for Washington County present yet.
I think I understood that, but your voice is coming through very oddly.
Sorry. Is it any better?
Yes, and I think what you said is there's nobody from Washington County on yet.
Correct.
Thank you.
Tom, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Do you want to proceed with the approval of the minutes of the March
Yeah,
13
will.
minute
Yeah.
meeting while we're waiting for
No, that's
Washington
very good.
County?
Thank you. You all received the minutes of the last Dispute Resolution Committee that was held on March 13th, 2026. They were all in your packet that was distributed. Are there any additions and corrections to those minutes? Can I have a motion that they be approved?
Motion to approve. I'm sorry.
Or a second? Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. So where do we stand, Bree, with Washington?
As far as I can see, I do not see the representatives on the participant list. They were given an approximate start time of 2:20.
Okay.
So
Chair Van Kirk, my name's Tom Steele. I represent Washington County. I can tell you I know they're going to be on this call. I'm not sure why they're not on it. They might be having technical difficulties. I'm going to try and put a call to them and see what's going on.
Okay, Tom, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Hambre. I don't know, do we treat it as a tenured professor and give them 10 minutes?
You guys, they haven't sent an email or anything to you or text.
No. I did receive confirmation of their attendance back when they were notified of the meeting date and time, but nothing since.
Thank you. As I recall, the last time they all phoned in from one office, so they may be having technical difficulties in that office. So,
Here they are. Joining now.
This
Okay,
is
Tom.
Steele. Thank you for your patience.
no problem. Good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon. This is John Tamigi and Miss Tiffany Millivac. I apologize. We followed a link and we're in a waiting room and it might have been the most incorrect link. So apologize for the delay, but we are here now present and hopeful that we can submit our appeals for the following 4 awards. So Thomas, if that is appropriate, we would like to continue.
It's appropriate to continue. I will tell you that I made the announcements beforehand that it is a public meeting, that only the trustees and members of the Dispute Resolution Committee are allowed to participate, along with 2 of you representing Washington County, who have the only 4 appeals that are on the agenda today. So the floor is going to be all yours. The purpose of the meeting is to discuss the appeals from your programs number 36, which is DHS Training and Continuing Education, program number 37, Direct Consulting Solutions, program number 52, Sean Patrick House, program number 59, WHS Teen Outreach. Before I begin, I will say we got a lot of new information from you in connection with this appeal. For the trustees' purposes, out of 250 some pages, 51 pages that constitute the appellate record in this case for your review, only those pages from 246 to 251 present new information that we had not received before. The prior information that they had submitted in response to questions. John and Tiffany, I would say, the material you submitted from 246 to 251 is new, but it all did shed a lot of light on each of these subjects. And in the future, it would be a lot easier if not even easier, it is both preferable and we may necessitate that you have to do that in response to the questions that we initially addressed of you back in December. addressed questions to you. We got responses back. They were not responsive, and that is why they were turned down by the working group and then by the entire trust. Okay, now that you're on appeal, we are going to consider the new information that you submitted, or the more succinct information, perhaps is a better way of saying it. But we will not be doing it again. Okay. Having said that, if all the trustees have reviewed the new information, as I said, it does shed some new light on these things. Are there any of the 4 programs that we are going to be considering today that the new information gave you enough information that we don't have to waste John and Tiffany's time, that we can just go ahead and say that we're going to approve it? Is there any of the 4 programs that somebody would like to suggest that we just approve without hearing any oral presentation?
Yeah, I would suggest that we go ahead and approve program 36. I think the other people, including myself, probably have some questions about the other programs. We'd like to hear presentations on that. So I would be happy to move that we approve number 36.
I'll second that motion, Stuart.
Okay, anybody have any discussion?
Nope.
Hearing none, there's a motion made and seconded that the Dispute Resolution Committee approved Washington County Program number 36, which is Department of Training and Continuing Education Program. The Department of Human Services Training and Continuing Education Program. Any discussion on that motion to which there is a second and a motion made? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay, that will take us on then to the next program, which is program number 37, Direct Consulting Solutions. That will leave us with 3 programs, John and Tiffany, to discuss. So why don't we plan on taking about 15 to 20 minutes for each of those 3 programs, okay?
All right, absolutely, Thomas, and certainly appreciate some insights on proceeding forward with the trust. And we're going to certainly continue to work with the administrator and liaison to best understand the process. We know that there's a consolidated element that is requested, but also we want to make sure we give you all the information you request. So we're going to certainly do our best to make sure that we meet that mark and balance how that best fits for the trust moving forward.
It'd be very appreciated if you would.
Yeah. So again, we'll work on that collectively, and we look forward to that opportunity. That being said, we are going to proceed into program number 37. The Deputy Director for Washington Department of Human Service, Ms. Tiffany Millivac, is going to present this to the trust. Tiffany.
Thank you. Program number 37, Direct Consulting Solutions. This meets Exhibit E, Section E, which states address the needs of pregnant or parenting women and their families, including babies with neonatal abstinence syndrome. It meets number 6, provide child and family supports for parenting women with opioid use disorder and any co-occurring substance use disorder or mental health conditions. It also meets number 7, provide enhanced family support and childcare services for parents with opioid use disorder and any co-occurring substance use disorder and mental health conditions. And finally, it meets number 8, provide enhanced support for children and family members suffering trauma as a result of addiction in the family, and offer trauma-informed behavioral health treatment for adverse childhood events. The Child Care Solutions Center aligns with the Pennsylvania Opioid Settlement Exhibit E, treatment supports for families and child care services, because it is designed to remove barriers that often prevent parents or caregivers from engaging in treatment and recovery. The program proposes on-site affiliated child care services for children of individuals in recovery, while also creating a safe, healthy, and nutritionally supportive environment for children impacted by opioid use disorder and substance use disorder. By giving parents access to dependable childcare, the initiative helps improve attendance, stability and participation in treatment, recovery programming, workforce training, and related supportive services. This program also supports the broader family unit, which is a core intent of Exhibit E. The prevention and recovery efforts positively impact the entire family and include healthy, safe environments for children. In practice, this means the project is not limited to the individual with opioid use disorder, but extends services to children and families affected by addiction. Additionally, the program will contract with a behavioral health therapist to offer access to trauma-informed behavioral health treatment. By providing employment opportunities for parents in recovery, along with childcare access, family stabilization, behavioral trauma supports, and connections with recovery partners, the Childcare Solutions family-centered treatment support model is consistent with allowable opioid settlement uses. Thank you.
Thank you, Tiffany.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Anything further? John? Okay,
No,
questions of the trustees? Anybody have any questions? I know one of the things we had asked you to provide when we went back initially was for a detailed budget. Have we ever received the detailed budget, Bree?
I'm sorry.
Have we received a detailed budget for the program?
I believe that there was some funding outlined in the supporting documents, but I think that it would be helpful for the Washington County representatives to make clear what specifically is being funded with opioid settlement funds, because as I understand it, it seems to be a fairly large capital project.
Yeah, I would agree with that. In fact, I was going to ask that question. So thank you, Tom, for bringing it up. I personally think this is good, but I am confused about what the money is actually going to be used for, since you described, Tiffany, a pretty broad and comprehensive program, which is good. I really like it. But where is the money directed? Is it going to be intermingled in the general budget because this is a larger center, the way that I'm right? And
It's built from the aggregate. This is a piece of the aggregate.
So there is going to be, though, a distinction between it's 75,000, I believe, correct? 75,000 that is going to be directed to the OUD part of this center for the purposes that you described. Just wondering, okay, you're going to intermingle it. How do you determine whether the money is being used for what it's supposed to be used for?
So if I'm following you correctly, that'll be a part of our ongoing assessment and work that we do with all of our awardees to identify their process and overall outcomes that take place. So annually, we do require the awardees to provide feedback to us and give us a sense of where they stand and where they're going. This project, when we received the application, was in its initial infancy stages of launching. These funding sources were utilized to help launch this project into being, and it is part of the pre-development to provide this resource center to Washington County.
So you're going to have some sort of documentation of how many mothers or children that you're actually serving through this program?
Yeah, once official activities and programs are launched, as noted, we do require a report. We have a reporting tool which annually we get a sense of outcomes, outputs, and overall impact that's taken place in our county. The goal here for this funding is potentially, if awarded by the trust, is to allow for additional opportunities to apply for funding, as we've had conversations with the representatives of the organization. Certainly there's no guarantee of that, but this is, as mentioned, a pretty big project. So this is something we have to have an ongoing assessment to consider this application in the future. if it does warrant additional support funding, and it's because it's ultimately hopefully providing what we envision and has been identified in its initial application. Again, serving this specific population.
So you're requesting 75,000, as I understand it, is for the opioid part of this. What is the overall cost that was incurred along with the $75,000 in order to get the center up and running?
So the organization asked for $1.8 million to get the center up and running. Obviously, we only funded $75,000 of that, which would go towards the programming specifically for the families and the kiddos from the families with opioid use disorder and any substance use disorder or mental health condition. So the organization is still in the process of identifying other funding sources to bridge the funding so that they can become fully operational
and
sustainable. So we were very much aware that the entire project could not be funded by opioid settlement funding, but there was a key component of this Child Care Solutions Center that very much was applicable to the uses in Exhibit E, and that's what we sought to fund.
And also, I will say, just for conversation that we're sharing, this is a significant gap, as you can imagine, not only in Washington County, but really across the Commonwealth. Our assessments and research have indicated that being the case, and we felt that this would be a paradigm shifting element for families here in Washington County, specifically those afflicted, with the opioid epidemic.
How did you or they come up with the figure of 75,000 out of 1.8 million would be applicable to opioid funds?
So we had discussions with them about kind of narrowing down what we could fund in the program. And then the idea of having kind of like an opioid navigator that would be a staff member at the program that would oversee all of the components that I spoke about in regards to the kids and the families with opioid use disorder. So it was for salary to fund that portion of it.
And is that portion of it underway already, awaiting additional funds, or is the whole thing being held until they have all of the 1.8 necessary to move forward with the entire project?
So they're currently in the process. So they initially had their first site that was identified for the Solutions Center. As you can imagine, it's going to be a very expansive center. The first site that was identified, which was shortly after funding was awarded to them last year, the site was actually purchased by another contractor. So that fell through, and they're currently looking to identify a second site that would be feasible for a site of that size. So right now they're working on that and obtaining, like I said, the remainder of the funding that they would need to institute the actual building itself. So they had been given the $75,000, which of course is for the programmatic parts that relate to opioid use disorder.
And awaiting the building, have they begun with the programmatic?
No.
Programs have not started.
So they're just sitting there holding 75,000 right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, other questions?
If I could, Tom.
Yes. Sure.
So you talked about on-site childcare. So that's not something that you're looking to pay for out of the trust funds. That's going to be just part of their general program. I'm trying to figure out exactly how all these pieces fit.
So as I believe we mentioned, it's for the navigator that will help, again, identify the resources and supports for those families afflicted with the opioid epidemic.
So the navigator will assist them with childcare.
Correct. And the majority of those families will probably qualify for some subsidized childcare assistance. And if need be, the organization talked to us about applying for future funding to supplement the families that do not have access to that subsidized childcare funding. So that would be that's going forward in the future. That would be a bridge that we would cross in a conversation we would have with that organization. to just give you a little picture of Washington County. So in our county, we have one organization that has residential for women with children. That residential unit is usually full and is usually waitlisted. So often women with their children have to go out of county so that they can remain as an intact family unit. So our belief is that by having this sort of childcare, expanded childcare services, we do have other recovery house beds, but we could help support the family unit while the families are in recovery and in residential settings, and they have access to childcare where that they have programming that supports that. So this is kind of like the big picture of making sure everyone has access to the services they need while they're in Washington County, including childcare support.
Accessibility.
Thank you. Shay, anything else?
But not
Go ahead.
actual childcare, right?
Not currently.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay. Nope, I'm good, thanks.
Okay, Commissioner Boozle?
Thank you. Just a quick question. I think I heard you say that you've already delivered the 75,000 to this program. Is that true?
Correct.
So how do you guarantee that you get the reporting back that you're asking for to meet your benchmarks? Is this, I would think that a programmatic would be a fee for service, paid as you go, as opposed to putting it out there, because there's a couple of things that are happening. They're also sitting it in their bank account and you're not receiving the interest that you could be using towards other programming. It's also going to them, but it's not an approved program. It's sitting in their bank account and you're not guaranteed to get your product, your reporting without holding that funding back. So I'm just a little curious how that happened.
Well, good question. I think we've broached this topic during our previous discussions a couple months back. So this is something that, again, we're kind of navigating through this process and further understanding best practices in regards to the opioid funding and the interest that potentially can be earned. As far as how we can monitor and navigate, Tiffany and I have ongoing conversations with the awardees and ensuring that they take the appropriate steps in achieving their identified goals. So it's certainly a work in progress and process, but it's an ongoing conversation that we have with our awardees.
Have you set a deadline date of retracting the funding if they can't find a location? I don't think you want 75,000 sitting on your books without having an end date. Like buildings come and go every day. So, at what point do you say to the trust, we had to pull our money back in? And then when you do that, you have to look at the timeline of expending. So you have to be very careful. That's my recommendation.
Yeah,
And I appreciate that. I mean, we have not identified that yet. We are aware of those timelines. And this is something that, we have to best identify and work with all parties involved to ensure that there's a clear understanding of deadlines and that there is not only progress that has to be made, but obviously and ultimately we need completion stages that take place. So good insight on that front. We do have some awareness, but certainly that further, attunes us to making sure we're in alignment.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Stuart, I believe your hand is up.
Yeah, so what is the tuition for this childcare center? Is it free? Is it low cost? Is it accessible? I'm not quite sure how families that are really struggling with one or more people in the family trying to recover and go through that whole process to be able to afford childcare. So I'm just curious, how do you pay for it? Is it paid for by the county? Are there scholarships? Is this going to be accessible to
If I could
families?
piggyback on that, Stuart, that's kind of what I was getting at. Like it reads like they're providing childcare in the on page 240, whatever it is. So that's why I was trying to come at you guys with those questions to try to understand like what Stuart just said, because the way I read it, to me, it looks like you're providing childcare.
So this organization, again, I believe we've mentioned, will certainly have subsidies that will align with families that are eligible. For those that maybe do not meet that criteria, there will be potential scholarship in place for those that are in need that, again, but don't potentially meet that subsidy program. Again, that's something that the organization is currently under the way of designing, has done this type of initiative in the past. So we're leaning on them to ensure that this is a sustainable project, but certainly subsidies will be a driving component.
My understanding, this was following a sort of like a Head Start model where the majority of the kiddos there qualify for the subsidized childcare. So like I said, when that comes into play, and if there's families that do not qualify for that, of course, they wouldn't be excluded. But I think what we're looking at, the population we're looking at here, the majority of them probably would qualify for that.
Is there availability of childcare? Like, I know we
In Washington
waiting
County?
lists- Yeah,
No, we're very short on childcare here.
Okay, yeah.
sorry, Stuart.
No, that's fine. I guess my question, first of all, this is a really important issue. I mean, childcare, keeping families intact, all those things in these families is really critically important. I totally understand that and support it. I'm just a little confused about why the money was spent this way. And I know that you guys are on a learning curve here, and hopefully you're learning. Other counties have used these dollars to support childcare. It's clearly part of Exhibit E, including, spending significant amounts of dollars to provide free childcare in these situations, which seems to me to be the most maybe effective way of doing it. You chose not to do that. That was your decision, but it just was really confusing to us about where that money went. And it's still a little confusing to me about how that amount of money spent in the way that you spent it is really going to have any mitigating impact on families that have experienced opioid use disorder and other stuff. So I'm still a little bit confused about that. And I'll leave it there. But.
Well, this is postal. I realize money's fungible. That's why I asked, is it being intermingled? How are we directing this? But it's not a lot given the total budget. And again, I understand the administrator or the director's going to have some flexibility on how to move budgets around in order to ensure, back to Washington County, that their 75,000 is indeed affecting childcare for OUD families. Now, childcare, what does that mean? What's programming going to be? I think it's going to be up to the director in Washington County to make sure that this is done as, hey, we've all moved budgets around, and line items, depending on what needs to be shown to the granting agency. So I'm okay with, I'm actually okay with this to move along.
Thank you.
Other questions? Okay, let's move on to the next program, number 52, the Sean Patrick House.
Yes, thank you. I would like to present Sean Patrick House in the reporting tool, opening a men's recovery house. This is under Exhibit E, Schedule B, Section B, support people in treatment and recovery. Number one, provide comprehensive wraparound services to individuals with OUD and any co-occurring SUD and MH conditions, including housing, transportation, education, job placement, job training, or childcare. Number two, provide a full continuum of care, of treatment, and recovery services for OUD and any co-occurring SUD and MH conditions, including supportive housing, peer support services and counseling, community navigators, case management, and connections to community-based services. Number four, provide access to housing for people with OUD and any co-occurring SUD, MH conditions, including supportive housing, recovery housing, housing assistance programs, training for housing providers, or recovery housing programs that allows or integrates FDA-approved medication with other support services. Renovating and opening the Sean Patrick House directly fulfills Exhibit E requirements by providing wraparound recovery services, continuum of care supports, and safe medication-friendly recovery housing for men with opioid use disorder, OUD, and co-occurring substance use or mental health conditions. The Sean Patrick House is intentionally designed as a wraparound recovery environment, not just as a place to sleep. Renovation and operation of the home will allow the program to deliver the following: supportive housing, i.e., a stable, substance-free living environment that reduces relapse risk and provides structure during early recovery. It also provides transportation assistance, rides or transit support for treatments, appointments, employment, probation requirements in community service, employment and education pathways, so through partnerships with local employers, workforce development agencies, and training programs to help residents secure jobs, build skills, and pursue GED and vocational education. Case management, service coordination. Residents receive individualized support plans addressing their mental health, physical health, legal needs, and social determinants of health. Life skills development, including budgeting, communication, conflict resolution, household management training to support long-term stability. By integrating these supports into daily structure of the home, the program meets Exhibit E expectation of comprehensive wraparound services. The Sean Patrick House is built around a continuum of care model, ensuring residents receive coordinated services across all stages of recovery that include peer support services. Certified recovery specialists and peer mentors provide daily guidance, accountability, and lived experience support. Counseling and therapy connections. Residents are linked to outpatient mental health and substance use counseling, including trauma-informed care. Community navigators. Staff residents access benefits, healthcare, legal aid, and social services. Case management, as each resident receives a personalized recovery plan with measurable goals, progress monitoring, and coordinated referrals. Community-based service integration. It includes partnerships with treatment providers, MAT clinics, behavioral health agencies, and social service organizations that ensure continuity from detox and long-term recovery. Additionally, renovating the home enables these services to be delivered in a safe, structured, and recovery-oriented environment, fulfilling the continuum of care requirement. The Sean Patrick House addresses the critical shortage of male recovery houses in the region, and this renovation and operation of the home will start with increase to access safe, supportive recovery housing for men with OUD and co-occurring disorders, allow MAT-friendly residency, ensuring individuals using FDA-approved medications are not excluded from housing, provide structured recovery program that aligns with best practices for OUD treatment, offers housing stability, which is strongly related to reduce relapse, improve treatment retention, and long-term recovery success. And lastly, support reintegration that provides stable base for employment, education, and community engagement. That is all.
Okay, thank you. Could you, I just have a question. This might have been asked before in the previous. What are the details of the organization? Is this a not-for-profit? Is it two people out on that have formed a company? What is the organization that the money is being paid to?
Absolutely. So it is not a not-for-profit, it is an LLC. The individuals that own the LLC have a decade and a half of lived experience in recovery. They actually purchased this home off of Resurrection Power. So it was one of Resurrection Power's houses in Washington County. They were looking to close its doors because they couldn't maintain this house any longer. And so instead of losing these male recovery house beds, they asked the other organization if they would be willing to purchase it and run it so they could keep it open.
Okay. And my understanding is the amount that's being requested is 300,000. Is all of that going for capital expenditures to purchase, rehab the house, and get it ready to go? And if the answer to that is yes, where are they getting the operational dollars in order to run it after they have built this facility?
So the house has already been purchased. It is completely renovated and furnished. They hired a full-time certified recovery specialist to work with the men in the house. They've already been operating. I think they finished the program about 4 months ago. So they closed out the grant 4 months ago. It's open and operational.
And did the 300,000 go for the renovations and getting the house ready? And
And the
do you know where the operational funds are coming from?
So ongoing operational funds will come from the rent that the individuals pay to live there.
So that keeps it on a sustainable track.
Okay. The reason I was asking about the form of the organization, obviously, if they're not a not-for-profit or a 501c3, that's a source of funding for running the operations, which will not be available to them. So it's of some concern. Okay, other questions?
So just to respond to that, so we had internal conversations about, not-for-profit versus for-profit entities, applying to acquire things like property. And it was decided for this year, for 2026, for our RFP cycle, that we would require entities looking to acquire property to be not-for-profit for purposes that you're mentioning. So that organization actually did form a nonprofit after the fact, but for the purposes of this award, it was an LLC. So they do have a nonprofit structure now.
Great. And are they seeking licensure from the state?
They are. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're chartered through the state, through their 501c3 with the Internal Revenue Service.
Yeah, it's a model mail recovery house in our county. We're really happy that they were able to, step in and take over.
But they did apply for licensure to the DDAP.
Yeah, they're in the process of doing so.
Okay, but have not yet completed it. Okay. Okay, other questions?
If I may, I was thinking, I formerly worked at Redevelopment Authority, and one of the things that they often did in providing renovation funds or purchase funds of any type, they would put a lien on that property, whether it was for-profit, nonprofit. You can give a forgiveness amount of whatever percentage you'd like per year, and then it falls off. So you can do a 10% for 10 years of whatever you gave. You can do things like that. I would really recommend you look at that model because that gives you some backbone on these funds that you're putting out there that they can't turn around and flip. Not that they would, but you never know where what's going to happen 5 years from now or when you're gone. So that sort of memorializes it.
I appreciate that. And as noted, we're working internally to continue to strengthen and improve the mechanics that go into this. And certainly any insights we're all ears for.
Certainly.
Okay,
The question that I had, which finally got answered, was whether they were going to allow the integration of FDA-approved medication for the treatment of opioid use disorder. That was not clear in any of the previous material that I could see. So I'm glad that, specifically because they checked number 4, which would require them to allow that. So I appreciate they're doing it. And it's a good thing. And it'd be very helpful for people there to be able to access those medications. They certainly don't have to have them, but they need to allow access. So thanks. Would have really helped me early on to understand that as a former healthcare provider.
Okay, other questions?
My questions have been answered in the discussion. Thank you.
Yep. Anybody else? Okay, and having nothing to do with this particular project, could you tell me how many recovery houses for opioid users you have now in Washington County? Because I think this is the 4th or 5th one that's come to our attention using opioid funds. Do you have any idea what your total number of recovery centers are?
Yeah, we have 8 to 10 recovery houses. That's female and male houses. Now, when John and I both came into our positions, which was just over a little 2 years ago, it was brought to our attention and known that the state of the recovery houses in Washington County was declining. And so we really wanted to set forth an initiative where we could support the recovery houses that have been here and have been doing a fantastic job for years, but just didn't have the support to be able to maintain the houses to continue to provide residences that were healthy and safe for our individuals with opioid use disorder. So we were really glad to be able to provide some funding support to individuals that own the houses using opioid settlement funds. I think it's game changing in Washington County.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the final program for Washington County, program number 59, which is WHS Teen Outreach Common Ground Teen Center.
Thank you, Thomas. So at this time, we're going to actually have the founder, Dr. Mary Jo Pajerski. She is going to provide an overview of the organization and the programs that are directly related to the funding source in relation to Exhibit E. Dr. Pajerski.
Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you all. The teen outreach is fairly large, and this funding only applies to one program. It is using a program called ECHO. So we are pleased to answer your questions in Exhibit E, Schedule B, Section G, several points. Number 8 to start, funding evidence-based prevention programs. That has been our model since 1988. This particular evidence-based program is called ECHO, Educate Children for Healthy Outcomes. It is an educational mentoring program providing one-on-one service. We look at antecedents for at-risk behavior, in particular, in this particular case, opioid use and substance use. As you know, generational challenges, we can tell when young people are starting to walk that path. So we do intensive mentoring, 4 to 6 hours a month. We are currently serving 20 young people through this grant. We also are doing some significant evidence-based work with these young people that is beyond ECHO, and that is we are using teen mental health first aid. We trained 75 teens in teen mental health first aid this year, and we're using SOS suicide prevention, both evidence-based and quite very useful. We taught them in 6 school districts this particular year. We are, number 9, using school-based and youth-focused programs to demonstrate effectiveness of preventing drug misuse. We are consistent in our belief that prevention starts before the young person gets involved. So we are looking at young people whose families with generational substance abuse, generational opioid use. The antecedents are very clear. As I said, we've identified 20 teens ages 12 to 19, and one of our MA counseling persons is following them. We meet them at the teen center. We do not fund anything else at the teen center. We just have these people. It's a safe space for the young people. So we have a dedicated room that we did not need to use funds for because we already had the space. But our mentor meets with these young people at the center and at home. They also meet them at home occasionally. It is one-on-one. We have found with ECHO that their grades improve, truancy decreases, attendance increases, drug and alcohol use drops, or doesn't start at all, which is what we really like to see. Number 10, create or support community-based education for families, youth, and adolescents at risk for OUD and SUD-MH. We are doing community-based education throughout the county. At one point, we have been in every school. We do serve 10 to 11 schools on a regular basis. We have other grants that are in the schools as well. With this particular program, we are using the evidence-based Pierce-Harris self-concept test, which is a reliable and valid instrument to measure self-worth, which I personally believe that's the key to prevention education, period, is having young people feel a self-concept that allows them to make healthy choices. Number 11 is looking at evidence-based programs to address mental health needs of young people at risk for use. As I said, we're using 2 very strong mental health first aid programs and SOS suicide prevention and our ECHO program itself. We developed our ECHO drug and alcohol curriculum in 2010 At the time, we were working through the SCA and doing what we call peer leadership. So we had older teens working with younger teens, which is a very successful model for us. We've used it in different prevention programs. And the 16 or 17-year-olds work with 12 and 13-year-olds. The message they get from them is received better than somebody a little older like myself. I'm behind the message, but it's really important for them to hear it from a young person. And so it costs about $4,000 for each ECHO mentee. We can get by with a little less, but we need that much because we see them so much. And we are using 20 young people, as I said, so that pretty much uses the funds that we were granted. And finally, number 12, when we work with mental health services and support, we partner with school guidance departments, school nurses, BHDS counselors from the county, and teachers. And we have created a program we're calling Ambassadors for Mental Health as part of this funding. It is an active teen group supporting mental health. They are not counselors, but they have been taught through teen mental health first aid how to know when their friend says, I'm depressed, what it means, when their friend is using, how to find a fix for that. These young people are eyes and ears in the school. And like I said, we've trained 75, had a youth conference for 137 teens in April. We have a monthly support group for teens whose families were struggling with addiction. We have one teen who is 16 who serves as the teen facilitator. It's run by one of our amazing counselors, and she has a master's in counseling. But this teen is right beside her, helping to facilitate the conversation. She has had both parents have dealt with OUD and SUD. We also have a teen mental health advisory board that meets monthly and helps plan next activities that the young people think would be helpful for. So I'm happy to answer any of your questions. We are teen-based and teen-driven.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Don.
Okay, questions?
I'm a little just confused about the request. Maybe this goes to Washington County. Is it 80,000 for ECHO and 20,000 for the teen center? It's just,
Can I answer that?
Yeah, field it, please.
It's 80,000 for ECHO. The teen center is not receiving any money that I'm aware of from the county. We have other funds for the teen center. But the
the budget
80,000 is for
and-
ECHO, period.
okay.
But
Well,
we are using the teen center as a safe space to offer ECHO.
all right. I can't put my finger on it now, but there is a budget sheet that says 20,000 opioid settlement funds for the teen center, but you clarified it. 80,000 is the request.
That is correct. I think when we initially wrote the budget, we thought that we would do that, but in fairness, we didn't know we'd get 20 young people so quickly. And we need the money for ECHO. So we are going to other sources to provide that 20,000 for the teen center.
Okay.
We work very creative with that. One of our best fundraisers is a seesaw marathon where the teens seesaw for 24 hours. It goes very well. But initially, I did not expect to have 20. I was thinking maybe we'd have 10 or 11 initially, but that's not the case. We have 20 and they need us. All 20 of them do. So all the funds are going directly to ECHO.
And I'll just chime in and say that I had the privilege to attend the Seesaw fundraising challenge, and it was off the charts and very grassroots, but it demonstrates their commitment to the children in Washington County and their passion to, again, look at aggregate sources to make this program and all of the programs sustainable and impactful.
Yeah, the Teen Center is, I'm obviously very passionate about it. It is a place where young people can cook and learn. We have clubs every week. They learn chess. They learn cooking. Like I already said, that's their favorite place. We have camps every summer. None of this is being funded by this award. But we do have amazing programming at the center. And the reality is we had to start with something very basic. Getting them to stop vaping is first. But we are really very firm with this, and they know. They police each other. We have very strong guidelines. We have very strong teen leadership.
Yeah, I can't put my finger on that budget, but I do remember, do you get United Way funds too?
We are getting United Way funds. As I said, we have one fundraiser, Seesaw, and we're getting BHDS funds from mental health. We received 50,000 from them. This has nothing to do with this award, but that's how the teen center budget's 106,000, not including any of these dollars. We also have a talent show that we operate every January, which is as a hoot, if I'm honest, and that brings in some money as well. We're very creative with our fundraising, and we have some wonderful donors in the community that support us. I don't know if that helps, but I'll answer any of your questions.
Hey, if I could, I have one. If you know approximately, and no reason you should have this right in front of you, but what is your overall budget per year for the Common Ground Teen Center? And what part of that is ECHO and how much money is that?
I have that right. The Common Ground Teen Center's budget is 106,000. None of that is ECHO.
Okay.
That's just how we keep the doors open and pay the electricity and pay staff. ECHO is separate. We only started ECHO at the teen center when we received these funds. We started ECHO in 1999, but we were focused on what CYS sent us in terms of referrals. We've had a contract with Children and Youth for 20 years. Yeah. And they send us young people, but they're already in trouble or their families are in trouble. We also have a connection with JPO. And that's a separate pot of young people. With this program, we were able to look at young people at risk before JPO had their hands on them because they aren't in trouble yet. And that's always my goal. I want to catch these kids before they get into the system if I can. And looking at research, I'm a big researcher. You can tell the antecedents are there. The biggest one is generational, and another one is internal and external poverty. Young people who feel abandoned, who don't have self-worth. They don't just get into drugs and alcohol, they have babies young. We've been working with that as well in a whole different animal. We have 9 different programs in the outreach. But it's consistent that if we don't identify these young people and give them what they need educationally and in terms of support, they will walk these paths that are very unhealthy. I have a good friend who I co-presented with him at one point, Dr. Michael Carrera. He wrote a book called Lessons for Lifeguards. And he said that we should not call young people that are almost in trouble at risk. We should call them at promise, because the promise is if significant adults don't step in, they will take those chances. They will get in those problems and we'll need to help them when they're in their 20s and 30s and 40s. So my passion has been for 40 years to catch those young people before they get into those places that are hard to fix. And so focusing on drug and alcohol was an easy solution because so many of our young people are coming from families where this is happening.
Yep.
So many. We just had a young person who just met her father after he was incarcerated her entire life. And it was all about opioid use. And
Yep.
she had him come to the center to meet him because she was kind of afraid to see him. So that's what we do. We become a significant adult in these kids' lives.
Excellent. Once again, John, for presentation purposes going forward, this doesn't have anything to do with this particular program, but ECHO sounds like an outstanding program.
Thank you.
It sounds like it's well justified, et cetera. And you really are doing yourself a disservice when you combine ECHO with 200 pages on the overall Common Ground Teen Center, all of which may be a good idea, but the Common Ground Teen Center in and of itself probably doesn't comply, well, not probably, doesn't comply with Exhibit E, whereas I do think the ECHO part of it, at least in my opinion, does. Other questions?
I agree with you.
Well, thank you. At least somebody on this call will during the day.
Good to know, huh?
Other questions? Okay, hearing none, are we ready to make a determination on each of the 3 remaining programs? Anybody want an executive session before we have our motions? Okay, let's deal first with program number 37. I apologize, John and Tiffany, for the way these are worded, but they're the same way we've worded every resolution coming out of this committee is it's more in the negative. It's more in the affirmative than the negative. If we vote yes, it means we're upholding the decision of the trust. If we vote no, we're reversing the decision of the trust. So I just want you to be clear
Thank you for clarity on that.
as to why it's being worded the way it is. So
Sure.
first, with regard to program number 37, Direct Consulting Solutions, could I have a motion that resolved that the dispute resolution of the Pennsylvania Opioid Trust hereby affirms the decision of the Board of Trustees that Washington County Program number 37, Direct Consulting Solutions, the Child Care Group Solutions Center, is not compliant with Exhibit E. A yes vote would maintain the current denial by the trust, whereas a no vote would reverse the decision by the trust that the program is not compliant with Exhibit E. Could I have a motion to that effect, please?
So moved. Kevin Boozle.
Thank you, Kevin.
Second, Stuart Fisk.
Thank you. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, all those in favor, recognizing that being in favor and voting yes affirms the decision of the trust, whereas a no reverses the decision. With everybody voting yes, please signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, those opposed?
No.
No.
Okay, I hear 3 noes and 2 yeses, so that the decision is reversed and that the program is considered to be compliant with Exhibit E. Moving on to program number 52, the Sean Patrick House. I'd like to have a motion that resolved that the Dispute Resolution Committee of the Trust hereby affirms the decision of the Board of Trustees of Washington County number 52. The Sean Patrick House is not compliant with Exhibit E. A yes vote would maintain the current denial by the trust, whereas a no vote would reverse the decision by the trust that the program is not compliant with Exhibit E. Could I have a motion to that effect, please?
So moved.
Okay, is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Thank you. Discussion on the motion. Okay, with the same admonition that I gave you before as to what a yes and no vote means, would everybody in favor of the motion, please say yes. Opposed?
No.
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 The noes have it. We're reversing the decision of the trust, and the program will be deemed to be compliant with Exhibit E. Finally,
Tom, Commissioner Boozle has his hand raised.
Sorry. It was bad. My bad.
you're bad that you didn't ask before, or you're bad that you raised your hand.
I somehow hit buttons, Tom. I don't know how I do it.
I know how you feel. Okay. Final motion we'll deal with is program number 56, the WHS Teen Outreach Program, Teen Outreach Common Ground Tech Set, Teen Center. And for the record, I'm going to refer to this as the vote is being taken on the ECHO, Educate Children for Healthy Outcomes, and nothing else in connection with the Common Ground Teen Center. Okay. So I'd like the record to show that, Bree, if you don't mind. With that, I'd like to ask for a resolution that resolved that the Dispute Resolution Committee of the Opioid Trust hereby affirms the decision of the Board of Trustees of Washington County number 59, ECHO, Educate Children for Healthy Outcomes, is not compliant with Exhibit E. A yes vote would maintain the current denial by the trust, whereas a no vote would reverse the decision by the trust that the ECHO program is not compliant with Exhibit E. Could I have a motion to that effect, please?
I'll move the motion.
Thank you, Rob. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Shay. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye. Opposed?
No.
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 The noes have it, and we're reversing the decision of the trust. Okay, Washington County, thank you very, very much. Really appreciate you taking the time, and please do listen to what we said about going forward and how things ought to be submitted. It'll make it much easier for you, and it'll make it a lot easier for us also.
Absolutely. Thank you, Thomas, again for the time, along with the rest of the board members. I'll certainly take your words to heart. We'll do our best to certainly work with your administrator and liaison for their wisdom and make sure that, again, we don't give you too much, but don't give you too little. Find that sweet spot that you're looking for as far as information moving forward, and hopefully give you a full clarity of pathways to understand our programs and the impacts they're having here in Washington County.
It'd be much appreciated. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Tom,
Anything?
Tamar
Yeah.
has his hand raised.
I'm sorry.
Chairman, my apologies. Just real quick, I guess, for just sake of proper notes. So we addressed program number 36 up top, and
Yes.
it was different instructions. It wasn't the same instructions that were received for the other programs, in that we voted aye in a majority with the intent of overturning the decision. My only question was, does that make a difference in the language that we did that resolution versus the others?
No, I purposely worded the resolution as I did because we were handling it in a different matter. We weren't requiring a presentation, so it was my full intent to present it in the way I did.
Okay, great. Sorry for delaying this by 2 minutes. My apologies.
No problem at all. Thank you all very much.
Thank
for your
you.
time.